to look at hyperbolas, and we talked about hyperbolas that open left and right. You do not need your computers right now, so if you'll put those away, that'll be great. Get out these notes we had yesterday. So we had x, you wrote this down yesterday, but I'm going to put it back up here. X minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. We said the center was at HK. The vertices were at x plus or minus a. I'm sorry, not x, h plus or minus AK. And the equation of the transverse axis was that for this type was a horizontal line, so it was y equals k. And there are many other things I could make you learn about hyperbolas. There are formulas to find these slant asymptotes here. And those slant asymptotes help us see like how wide or skinny the hyperbola is going to be. We could find the conjugate axis. We could find some different stuff. But these, what I will be asking you for are center, vertices, equation of the transverse axis, and I may ask you to write or sketch a very basic graph of what it will look like, okay? But I will not ask things beyond that. You'll notice, like, from what I have given you, this B value right here is not doing anything on the stuff that we're looking at, but the B does affect those slant asymptotes. I just don't want to spend the amount of time that it will take to cover it adequately to do all of those things, right? Because we are kind of doing like an overview of conic sections here. We're not getting really deep into using them for things and whatnot. So this is stuff that I may ask you, but these are not the only types of hyperbolas, because hyperbolas can also open up and down, okay? If they open up and down, their equation is going to look like this: y minus k squared over b squared minus x minus h squared over a squared equals 1. So in this case, the y is positive and the x is being subtracted. So you have to be careful with the center here, because we're so used to having x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. It's really easy to get these two coordinates mixed up. But whatever is with the x is your x coordinate, and whatever is with the y is your y coordinate. So you need to be careful with that, because it's going to be in the opposite order than it usually is. In this case, your vertices are not going to be to the left and to the right. They're going to be up and down. So you are going to look at your y. You're going to use the b value underneath it, and you will go up and down that far from the center. So the vertices, the x coordinate will stay the same for these. The y coordinates will be k plus or minus b. And your transverse axis here, the axis that goes through your two vertices, it is going to be vertical in this case. And so since it is vertical, it is an x equals line, and it's going to be x equals h, whatever your x coordinate is there. You can also find foci of hyperbolas. We will not be doing that. We will find foci of, they're like here and here. That's where they end up being.
Why does that make sense? Or how does that make sense? Is there like a string you can attach that will make that thing?
Not exactly. I would have to look into it a little bit more to demonstrate to you. I've got a Desmos activity set up for parabolas because parabola also have a focus. I have that set up because I make you find the focus for that. Since I have not required you guys to do that for these, I don't have that, but I could make one.
Very interesting.
But I would have to think about it a little bit there. Okay, so let's look at example 1. We're going to write in standard form and sketch a graph. And when I say sketch, it's going to be a rough sketch. Okay, your center needs. When I say sketch a graph, what I'm looking for is the correct center, the correct vertices, and it needs to open in the right direction. And that's basically it. You could get much more specific with that, but we're just going to do like a light version of hyperbolas. So, if I look at my equation here, can anybody tell me if this is going to open left and right or up and down? Left and right. How do we know? The y squared is negative. Okay? So since that y squared is negative, it is going to be left and right. Okay? If the x squared is negative, it's going to open up and down. Okay? So we are going to do this almost exactly the same as we did with ellipses, right? Because the only difference between the equation is that minus in between instead of plus in between. So we will group. We got 9x squared minus 54x minus 4y squared minus 40y. And I'm going to go ahead and move that 55 over to the other side. Okay. You will factor out. So we'll factor out a 9 right here. So we'll have x squared minus 6x. And I'm going to go ahead and put a plus blank right here. And then right here, what am I going to factor out of the second parentheses? Not just a 4, a negative 4. So take a negative 4, and that is going to give you the minus in between that you need for it to be a hyperbola. So we've got negative 4, and then we'll have y squared. Be careful here. Now it's plus 10y plus blank since we took the negative out. And this will equal 55 plus blank plus blank. Okay, so we're going to complete the square just like we did on the other problems. We'll have right here 9x minus 3 squared. We have to add a 9 right here. What do we add to the other side? 81. Don't forget to multiply it by this 9 that is out front because it would have to be distributed. Okay, then we'll have minus 4. We'll get y plus 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. We plug that in. What do we have to add to the other side? Negative 100. Because we're doing 25 times that negative 4. So make sure you don't miss the negative that goes with that. And then so, let's see, that is 136. So we'll get 36 whenever we do that. right here. All right, last step. Divide by 36, because just like the ellipses, it's got to equal 1. If we reduce here, we'll get x minus 3 squared over 4 minus y plus 5 squared over 9 equals 1. Okay? So, let's see. Avery, where is our center? Okay, so we got 3, -5. There's our center. It's not actually on our graph for hyperbola, but I'm going to put a dot there to remember. And then this, my x is positive. So that means this is going to open to the left and the right. We decided that before we began. So that means I need to go to the left and the right, whatever, value I have here. I got to take the square root of it. So I need to go to the right 2 to the left 2. So those will be my vertices. And then because I am not making you be very specific about this, you just need to draw in something that's kind of hyperbola looking that opens to the left and to the right. Okay, as long as you get the opening direction correct and you got some sort of curve there, that's as specific as we are going to get with the graph. We could get much more specific, but that's all we're going to do. Okay? Just graphing them is fine. You don't have to write them down. There. Okay? All right, so we have y squared minus 5x squared minus 20x equals 50. This one, first of all, does it open left or right, or does it open up and down? Up and down, because my y squared is positive, so that tells me that I'm dealing with a hyperbola that's going to open up and down. All right, this is a little bit weird, because there's nothing with that y. So what happens here is just don't complete the square for it. It's just y squared. Okay? It's not. You don't need to complete the square because it is not going to have your y coordinate is just going to be 0. Okay? But we do need to think about this, the x's, and so I'm going to factor out a -5, and that will give me x squared minus 4x plus blank, and that will equal 50 plus blank. I do not have to complete the square but one time.
Will it be a positive 4x plus 4x?
Yes, thank you. Positive 4x. You're factoring out the negative, so it should be positive. That is a very common error. I was testing you. Yes.
If it was -5x squared plus 20x, would it be negative?
Yes. Yes, it changes the sign when you factor out that negative. So be careful. I was testing you to make sure that you called it there. Good job. You passed. Okay. All right, so we need to complete the square just for the x. So we'll get x plus 2 squared. 2 squared is 4, so I'll put a 4 here. What do we add to the other side? -20. So that's going to give us 30 here. Okay? And then with ellipse or a hyperbola, we need it to equal 1 when it's in standard form, so we're going to divide by 30. So we get y squared over 30 minus x plus 2 squared over 6 equals 1. All right, so Jeremy, what is my center? Oh, I tricked you. I knew it was going to trick somebody. I was hoping I would pick somebody that it tricked. It is not 0, -2. Why is it not 0, -2? The y is right here, so it's -2, 0. But Jeremy was also just testing all of you guys because he was actually in on this. And we wanted to make sure that y'all caught it. Just so you know, Jeremy and I actually both knew the answers. We did it on purpose to test you guys. So good job, you passed.
Wondrous job, Jeremy.
Yes, yeah. So the negative there makes it a hyperbola instead of ellipse. It does not do anything to where your center is at. So you still just look at the number inside of the parentheses there and use the opposite. Good question on that. So center is at -2, 0. That is right here. This one opens up or down, so that means we need to be moving up or down. We need to move up or down the square root of 30. Now, I am not going to give you this on I will not give you this problem on a quiz or test where I'm asking you to graph it specifically because you're going to have to do a little estimating here. But you're probably going to see it happen on your homework a little bit. So, square root of 30. I know 36 is 6.
Like 5.3 or something.
Yeah, so we're like 5.3, so we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little more. And then we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little more right here. And then we're going to draw in something that is kind of hyperbola looking. Hyperbolas are a little bit different than parabolas. Parabolas are like a little bit more U-shaped. Hyperbolas are a little more like curvy V-shape, sort of. And so that would be what we'd be looking for. Okay, questions? All right, everybody quiet so I can hear Morgan's question, please. Correct. So if our y squared is positive, up and down. If our x squared is positive, it's left and right. Good. Okay? All right. So your assignment is from a textbooks page, so that is on Canvas for you. It's going to have directions that ask you to do more. What I want you to do is do center, vertices, sketch a graph. I will pass out some graph paper for your graph sketches. Make sure you graph these for me.